plotted out a book, and I thought I was going to speed run this book. Yeah, I had lots of good ideas. I was really feeling it. I'm really feeling it. Yeah, I was inspired to write. And then I really messed things up by taking on a diet and fitness challenge that I stuck with for several weeks. But even though it wasn't going well, I trusted it, and I should have listened to my body more. And I'm feeling so much. The difference is night and day with how much better I'm feeling now that I am taking it easier and going away from the high intensity cardio back into powerlifting, which is what I need for my body type and my personal goals and what I enjoy and what I am motivated to do, and just what matches with me. And being away from the stupid groups. I'm not going to gripe about the bad experience. Suffice it to say that I had a bad health experience that I felt obligated to, and that interrupted my ability to think, to function, to cognitively exist as an intact human being. And I lost that momentum. Absolutely. It was terrible. And these notes have been lingering on my desk, and I'm at the point where I'm recovering back to the state where I'm getting back to my full. And the responsible thing to do with me firing on all cylinders again, or cranking up to be at that, I wouldn't necessarily call it a peak state, because I'm not going to go into life issues or anything, but I'm not living the most flourishing, best life possible, whatever. But I'm doing much better than I was, and I can appreciate that. And I want to continue. I want to capitalize on that momentum and build on it and finish what I started with writing. And so underneath my notepad, so this notepad that I had a bunch of sticky notes. First of all, I'm so scatterbrained with saying this, but this is how conversation is. This is natural. You can understand, you can follow what I'm saying. I don't have to worry about organizing this in a way that is completely rational and logical that you do on a single read through, because this is not as intensive as the dedication to reading through things. It doesn't require that intensive curation. I have to get out of that mindset when doing a vocal recording like this. So, first of all, I had all of these sticky notes for this this wonderful outlining session that lasted a couple of days and several hours, where I'm like, I'm going to speed run this book. I have so many ideas, and I still have the pile of sticky notes, and it's all like put together, this big wad of paper on top of my notepad. And I have like a grocery list, task list on the notepad. And each time that I would like go to the grocery or like finish with work tasks, I'd take that paper, rip it, and the notepad would become thinner and thinner. Something else that I realized. So this is a notepad where it's like a bunch of papers that are bound together at the top. And so I could, and it has a cardboard backing to it. So I could lift up all the papers and slide another paper in the back of it. And that's what I did with a handful of notes when I would write something that was for like a different book, where I'm like, oh, that would be such a great scene for this. And in the back of this notepad, if you could say it like that, hidden underneath all these pages, I realized today I have one page left when I ripped off the page for the task list today. I actually made a task list for going to garage sales, so that you could consider that another form of procrastination, but I would see it as something where I need to physically move around, and I have an appreciation for physically getting up and moving and being on the road in a way with a vague purpose, at least to see what's around here and there. I'm not like, oh, I'm looking for these sales so that I can resell this for big money or whatever. No. Part of it's just to get out of the house. But also there's a certain relaxation in having a sense of purpose of I'm going here, then I'm going there, and there's this feeling of tactical fulfillment from, I was able to plan out these different locations that all have garage sales on this day, and I could weave across them and visit 6 garage sales in the course of 4 hours. And part of it's the social experience of it, where it's kind of, we're not going to talk about social distancing. I am disgusted by the topic. The feeling of constant social anxiety is disgusting to me at this point. And when you have an actual sense of, hey, there's a community yard sale, and people aren't constantly on their guard. My gosh, Freudian slip for people being so defensive all the time. People aren't being so open. It restores a sense of humanity to just interact with people in a way. And I'm not going to talk about the health hysteria. It's disgusting to have to justify. I'm not going to go into it. I'm just too disgusted by it. I can't formulate thoughts around the humanity that is lost from not being able to connect with other humans in a normal way, and that the very conceptualization of what is normal socialization has been altered. I don't want to say it's been altered irreparably, but it's not mentally healthy. The state that we are in cannot persist indefinitely, and already has had negative mental health consequences on a widespread scale. That is a subject that is not being talked about much out there, but we're not going to go into it anymore. I like the idea of going around to yard sales because it has this sense of being among the folk, being among simple people that are, there's no pretensions about it. It's a real human interaction. I'm seeking a genuine human interaction. And there's a microcosm of that with that you can find in rural yard sales out in the boonies, whatever. A lot of them are community yard sales that they have like postings on different social media or whatever. If there's one thing or another. But physically moving around is important for one's mental health, to not be cooped up and to get cabin fever, to go stir crazy. Those ideas used to be like understood. Yeah, if you're stuck indoors all day and you feel like you have no ability to move around, then you're going to go you're going to feel a little uncomfortable, and it's not good for you. I forgot where even I was going with this, so please pardon me for a second. Yes, how natural it is to become derailed and go, wait, what were we talking about? And the topic is procrastination and wanting to get things done and having manageable goals in mind and setting those manageable goals regularly as part of a habit that helps you to keep motivation and keep moving towards those goals that seem out of reach for now, but gradually, by degrees, become closer and closer. Okay, so I had all these sticky notes, got to the bottom of my notepad where that's where I got derailed by my word choice and by my map for the different yard sales that I was going to. I'm done with the last paper, and I realized, oh, I only have 1 page left in this notepad. Well, it's still pretty thick underneath it. It's pretty thick. Where I have a bunch of pages that I slipped underneath. Or that was another outline that I'd done back in March, several months ago, where I was like, I had this plot outline, a 24-point plot outline, where I wrote down all these plot points, and I developed a bunch of scenes to go along with them to punctuate these high points. I'm like, this is great, where I have these milestones along the way, that these are the important scenes where I'm writing by the snowflake method here, where I have a bunch of key points and then I expand the details between them to fill in the story from that. And there was another time where I felt really inspired, really excited for several days. But there, I was overly focused on technical training for job stuff. And looking back on it, I realized I have a lot of anxiety. I had a lot of anxiety that I was fearful about not being good enough with creativity. Yeah, I was feeling like an imposter when it comes to like my writing isn't good enough. This isn't a productive use of time. It's only ever going to just be a hobby. So I should focus more on a real job. And I have spent hundreds and hundreds of hours with technical computer stuff here and there. But it's absolutely demanding, especially when you're trying new technologies and branching out in different ways and getting certifications and writing resumes and contacting places to get interviews, building projects constantly. That consumed my life, and I dropped writing by the wayside. And I can't keep going through these feelings. When I look back, I see those feelings of inspiration, and they're beautiful. And I see the downfalls of anxiety, and it's disappointing, to say the least. I want to follow through on things. And right now, what's a big roadblock for me is getting over this grief of why can't I continue? What's getting in the way? I don't know what it is, but something's getting in the way, and it's like hitting a glass wall. And that's a metaphor that, with political BS, has gotten confused. The idea of a glass wall is emotionally, you don't feel anything past a certain point. You can see past it. You can conceptualize that there is a greater feeling beyond that which you experience, where you're running into some kind of invisible barrier that's stopping you from making progress when it feels like there should be no barrier in the way. There's nothing that's stopping me from turning everything off, from turning off my emails and ignoring my job for a few days, and finishing this book. Finishing writing, finishing editing, finishing publishing. Getting a publishing schedule, setting up the necessary emails and marketing, and promotionals. I have a whole plan for all of that, and there's a whole process to it. But all of that hinges upon actually being finished, but being able